First of all, thanks so very much for CNS and ILSI North America for the invitation, as well as Dr. Bartolo for reaching out to have a presentation. I thought it was very fitting to put Newfoundlander last. I can talk faster than anybody else. So I'm going to highlight the Research and Development Corporation in Newfoundland. So going down through, I'm going to talk about who we are, our mandate, our funding, our program overview, and talk about on a project level, what is a good project? Because when we talk about public-private partnerships, we don't have the depth of history of NSERC and CIHR. We've been around for 5 years. Right now we have about 400 ongoing projects. When I listened to the NIH and CIHR and NSERC, I thought that's what we want to be when we grow up. We don't have billion-dollar budgets. Our budget for program funding is around $20 million a year. So I'm going to talk about some projects that we're doing, as well as you're not going to hear me talking as much about the food and health, because most of our projects, the big ones, are in our strengths. So where we are located geographically is energy, ocean technology, and mining. But that's not to say we're not ready to expand and reach out. So we're going to talk about that as well. And if I do talk too fast, please let me know. So who we are. So RDC represents a long-term investment in Newfoundland and Labrador's economic future. We play a leadership role in working with industry, academia, and government to strengthen R&D capabilities. We act locally but think globally when investing in R&D capabilities. We've had the pleasure to work with CIHR and NSERC and partner on projects with them. Our mandate, unlike the Tri-Councils, our mandate has an economic bent to it. So it's to strengthen the focus, quantity, quality, and relevance of R&D for the long-term economic benefit of the province. We invest in two types of R&D projects. So we have two funding streams. One is academic-led, and we're looking to enhance R&D capacity and collaboration with business. And then there's the business-led side projects that overcome technical risk and enhance company capabilities. So there's a laundry list of our non-commercial program overview, but I'm just going to highlight a couple. The first one is the Collaborative R&D program, and this program is led by an academic PI, but there is input from industry. So what we're doing is looking at building the relationships between academia and industry. The PI must be stationed in the province. The company can be from anywhere. There can be collaborations, there can be international institutions. We have collaborative R&D projects where there's one PI from the university here and there's one company. There can be 5 partners involved. This program is one that we're usually approached early by PIs, and I can't remember, but this morning someone talked about building public-private partnerships has a long lead time, and it does. Engaging RDC early in the process can help PIs craft the right project. They can have lead times of as long as 2 years. The account managers within RDC are very outreaching. We do a lot of business development. We do a lot of working with PIs and with the companies together at the table to help craft a project for success, building the proposal to structure it for success. As many of the other agencies talked about, we look at milestones, we look at outcomes, but we're also looking for success. The Leverage R&D program is one where we're the provincial partner, where there's a federal agency is the main funder in the program, and we are there to fill the funding gap. So with NSERC's programs, it has recently sunsetted, but CIHR's RPP program, I've recently met with CIHR in Ottawa, and if they develop any more programs where there would be funding gaps required for provincial partners, we would be looking at partnering with them as well. For anybody from Atlantic Canada who's familiar with ACOA, there's the Atlantic Innovation Fund. We often partner with projects through AIF. I just want to mention Ignite, because that's for PIs that come to Memorial or to the College of the North Atlantic who are new to the province and new to research. We will fund up to $100,000 over 2 years to Ignite a researcher's research program. And then the last one is the Ocean Industry Student Research Awards, and I just throw that out there because someone asked me at a presentation a little while ago, when you say ocean, do you only mean energy? And it's pretty broad. If it crawls on the ocean, swims in the ocean, floats on the ocean, or is underneath the ocean floor, it qualifies. So it's that broad. So we've done projects related to sea cucumbers, mussels, scallops, lobsters. So this is all part of the food part as well. And most of these from a seafood producer side or a manufacturer, farming, those people are involved in these projects. In commercial, again, there's a long list of programs we have. I'll mention vouchers because it's very much runs in parallel to what NSERC does with Engage, except this one is commercially driven by the commercial partner. So what happens is, although the company is the applicant, they are applying for what you would think of as a coupon. So they would approach an academic institution or a PI for a piece of expertise that cannot get anywhere else. So it could be a researcher who has expertise in fruit fly research, in aquaculture research, and they want to access that researcher or a piece of equipment that they have or their expertise, and it's a 75-25 split. So RDC will cover 75% of project costs up to $15,000, and the company covers the remaining 25%. We've gotten really good uptake on this program. It often sets the stage. I don't know if I'd call it the first dance, but it sets the stage often for bigger projects that form really good commercial and academic collaborations. The proof of concept is our flagship commercial program, and again, we fund up to 75% of total project costs to a maximum of $250,000. These projects are commercially led, and they answer a question that a company has or overcomes a technical risk. It can be an improvement in process, it might open new markets, whatever it is to help the commercial strength of the company. And then the last one in this list is the Industrial R&D Fellowships, and this is a program that we were originally partners with NSERC with, but they've recently sunsetted this program. And this one is very powerful in a community the size of Newfoundland where companies cannot afford to purchase for the lack of a better word, purchase the knowledge of a postdoctoral fellow. And this program helps commercial entities pay the wage of a postdoctoral fellow and embed them in the company for 2 years. So originally it was us and NSERC and the company would contribute to this program for 2 years. Right now, this program is on hold. We're hoping it will come back again, and we're looking at ways that we can keep this program going in the Atlantic provinces and in Newfoundland in particular. So I often get asked, what makes a good project when it comes to working with RDC? We're not a peer-reviewed organization. So that's one thing that is important to keep in mind. But we are looking for quality research. But the answer often depends. So it depends upon the industry need, the stage of the R&D in terms of technical risk, project scope, and potential outcomes. One thing that's key to having a good project, as I spoke of earlier, was the early engagement of RDC. And our account managers, both non-commercial, who outreach to the academia, and our commercial account managers who outreach to business, to make sure that they work with the proponent to help get a project that will be positioned for success going forward. When it comes to technical risk, it's important for the proponent to clearly describe the technical problem that the R&D will help the applicant to overcome. Project scope. This is where we find there are struggles, no matter who the proponent is. One thing that people struggle with is adequate resources. That can be equipment, it can be people. Making sure that the activities can be completed within the project time frame. We often deal with a lot of clients who are trying to take on projects that are bigger than they can accomplish. So we look at doing alternates. Can we phase a project over a couple of phases? What can we do to make sure the activities are manageable? And then the budget needs to be adequate to make sure the work is completed. Economic benefit. The proponent needs to clearly identify the potential economic outcomes. So there could be increased investment in R&D as one, could be enhanced R&D capacity through training of HQP, there could be new equipment acquired during the project that remains when the project is over. The potential for commercialization for the business. So whether the business is the proponent or the business is the partner, what is the benefit for them? And then if it's purely academic without an industry partner, what is the industry relevance? And what is it you're trying to do that's going to move the technology along further to improve industry relevance? Collaborative R&D opportunities. Maybe this is a project that's early stage, that's seeding a small project that's going to take on further collaborative opportunities in the future. And then other economic outcomes as applicable. So when we talked about the public-private partnerships that we have, again, as a young organization, I thought I would throw a couple here. Again, they're not in the food area, but they are, the similarities and the characteristics they have will be applied no matter what area they're in. From our academic applicant is Dr. Rocky Taylor. He is an engineer who does work in ice mechanics. And his project he just finished was an Ignite, so he didn't have a partner, it was just him. And he was looking at ice spalling and how ice interacts when it's broken and refreezes. His work, right from the get-go, he was talking about shipping lanes in the north, doing work in the north, what it means for structures when you're dealing with ice environments. He was always thinking about where this work could be used, who would it benefit and who would it be of interest for. His project wrapped up a couple of months ago. He has already started conversations with multiple companies in the area of shipping and manufacturing in harsh environments. So again, the foundation was laid with the Ignite, and he's moving his project forward. Commercial applicant, this pretty picture is actually not a puzzle. That's data on a computer screen. The commercial applicant is a little company called Integrated Informatics, and they were based in Calgary, Alberta. They came to Newfoundland a couple of years ago, and those data points you see on the screen are related to environmental data. And this company realized that anyone who's operating in the offshore is operating under strict environmental regulations. From the offshore's perspective, they were capturing environmental data. The problem was it was very, very difficult to manipulate. So they had this data, it was hard to analyze, it was hard to manipulate. So Integrated Informatics came forward and said, we think that we have a computer program that's going to help with the manipulation of this data. We want to be introduced to some offshore operators to see if we can garner some interest. So the project was completed a little while ago. They did a prototype presentation to one of the offshore operators who bought the product, and now it's installed with various companies in the offshore. For Newfoundland, it's been a success because this company that was based in Calgary, they came and they set up office in this province before they applied to RDC. Now they had 2 people when they came 3 years ago. Now they have 6. So they're continuing to grow, and that economic and commercial benefits there. When it comes to unsuccessful projects, we're a different organization in that I can't give you statistics and say that our success rate's 33% or 25%, because a lot of projects they leave of their own accord before they're rejected. And this is all part of working with the client. Because we work with the client so much, they're coached through the entire process. So once the application hits our doorstep, it's almost ready to go. What happens is if that it hits our doorstep and we still work with the client, and we can work with the client for months, and we cannot get it for whatever reason to work, the client comes to their own conclusion about, I'm going to cancel or withdraw it, I'm going to reframe it, we can apply again. So our unsuccessful projects, what normally happens is that the project needs what the client is trying to accomplish cannot match the RDC program guidelines. So one of the next point there is that it's moved past the development stage and into consumer testing or marketing. So in the food industry, if this was something about you were trying to increase production, find efficiencies, those are eligible. But if it was someone mentioned earlier about consumers and what catches their eye when they're shopping, if this was about, if I put it in a blue box, they won't buy it, but if I put it in a pink box, they will, that's moved into consumer testing, and that's beyond what we can fund. Another problem we run into with some applicants is there's no demonstrated need for RDC involvement. So they have a grant from a company or an award. The university could be putting in kind. The budget is fully met. So there is no gap in funding, and there's no need for RDC. And then the other thing that we see quite often is that work has already begun when RDC has been contacted. Thank you very much.